Hey guys. Tonight we're diving deep into the darker side of the Middle Ages. Not the knights or the fairy tales. We're talking about pain. Real, raw, bone-deep punishment. The kind that makes your spine shiver and your stomach churn. If you've ever complained about a speeding ticket or a slap on the wrist, just wait. Tonight's journey might just make you hug your couch and whisper thank you to modern civilization. Now get comfortable. Dim the lights. Let the soft hum of the fan lull you into stillness. And imagine this, it's the year 1314. The church bells toll outside. You're standing in a muddy village square, ankle-deep in filth, surrounded by peasants who reek of damp wool and old stew. You blink. You're not dreaming. This is your new reality. And unfortunately, you've just been accused of theft. Doesn't matter if you did it or not. There's no real trial. No lawyer. No time to explain yourself. Someone pointed a finger, and that was enough. The constable already has a rope in his hand. You're led to the middle of town, where a heavy wooden post stands tall, darkened by blood and time. This isn't a decoration. It's the whipping post. Your shirt is ripped off. Your arms are tied above your head. And suddenly, you're not a person. You're a warning. The whip is leather, long and cracked from years of use. But it's not just leather. No, this one's been upgraded with sharp bits of metal and bone. They call it the cat o' nine tails. Because one tail just wasn't cruel enough. The first strike takes your breath away. It rips through your skin like hot glass. You want to scream, but your throat tightens. The pain is electric. It floods your whole body. Your knees go weak. But there's no escape. They keep going. 10 lashes if you're lucky. 20 if they really want to make an example. With each one, your back opens up like torn fabric. Blood drips down your legs. The crowd watches, some silent, some amused. To them, this is normal. Entertainment even. A break from the boredom of everyday survival. And here's the worst part. When it's done, you're not taken to a healer or given a day to recover. You're untied and left there. Barefoot, bleeding, covered in mud and spit. You shuffle home, if you can walk at all. Infection is likely. Death isn't far behind. Now maybe you think you'd be fine. That you've got grit. That you'd tough it out. But this is just the start. The whipping post is child's play compared to what comes next. Because a week later, someone else is caught lying. And the punishment? The tongue tear. Yes, that's a thing. You're dragged into the square again. This time, there's a metal tool waiting for you. It looks like tongs, only jagged and red-hot from the fire. The liar is forced to kneel. Their mouth is pried open. The tongs go in. And in one brutal motion, the tongue is ripped out, leaving a spray of blood and a scream that echoes off the stone walls. And you? You're still standing in the crowd. Watching. Trying not to be next. Every word you speak from now on feels like a risk. Every joke, every whisper, even your silence could be twisted into guilt. This isn't justice. It's fear. It's power through pain. The church watches from a distance, sometimes even nodding in approval. After all, punishment purifies the soul, or so they say. And the worst punishments? They're saved for those who break the unwritten rules. Like the baker who used a lighter weight for his bread. That wasn't just cheating. That was heresy. His punishment was called the pillory. A wooden device, with holes for the head and hands. Locked in place, he stood for hours. Or days. Rain or shine. The townsfolk threw rotten vegetables, stones, anything they could find. Children spat at him. Dogs snapped at his feet. You couldn't move. You couldn't sit. You just stood there, aching, humiliated, slowly losing any sense of dignity you once had. And then came the punishments that were purely designed for spectacle. The scold's bridle for women who spoke too much or said the wrong things. A metal cage that clamped around the head, with a sharp piece inserted into the mouth to press down on the tongue. You couldn't speak, couldn't swallow, barely breathe. Some wore it for hours. Others for days. It crushed more than the tongue. It crushed the spirit. But let's say you were Lucky that your crime wasn't considered evil. Just a nuisance. Like public drunkenness. That earned you a trip to the stocks. Wooden boards locked your feet. And you sat there, in the middle of town, open to the weather and the people. Snow, rain, sun, none of it mattered. You were still there. Your legs went numb. Your back screamed. And again, people threw things. Rotten meat. Mud. Words sharper than any blade. Your shame fed their amusement. By now, you're probably thinking, okay, but at least I wouldn't get executed. Think again. Because execution wasn't reserved for murderers or traitors. It could come for something as simple as stealing a loaf of bread during a famine, or refusing to kneel in church, or just angering the wrong noble. And death wasn't clean. It wasn't quick. It was a show. A statement. Beheadings were rare, and often reserved for the wealthy. The rest? They faced hanging, burning, drowning, crushing, even being boiled alive. Because pain wasn't just punishment, it was policy. It was how they kept order, kept people quiet, kept fear alive in every shadow. So no, you wouldn't survive a single punishment in medieval times. Your body wouldn't hold. Your mind would snap. And your soul? It would beg for mercy that no one was offering. But don't worry. It gets worse. So here you are. Still in the same village. Still breathing, somehow. Your back is a road map of bruises and blood. The stench of rot clings to your skin. You haven't truly slept in days. Because sleep means stillness, and stillness means you're vulnerable. To rats. To rumors. To whatever punishment the dawn decides to throw your way next. You're outside now, doing your best to seem invisible. But invisibility doesn't exist in the Middle Ages. Everyone is watching everyone. It's the only way to stay alive. And unfortunately for you, someone just noticed the pig you borrowed from a neighbor 3 nights ago to feed your family. You meant to return it. But good intentions won't save you now. The accusation spreads like wildfire. People love to talk when it's not them in the spotlight. The bailiff shows up, surrounded by 2 guards in rusting armor. One of them coughs so hard you can see blood on his chin. But no one notices. All eyes are on you. And suddenly your knees hit the dirt. You're not taken to a jail. Not yet. First, you're shown the cucking stool. It's not a device you'd expect to be terrifying. Just a wooden chair, really. But it's not where it sits that matters. It's what they do with it. You're tied down, wrists and ankles bound tight. The chair is connected to a long wooden beam. And slowly, painfully slowly, you're lowered into the river. Cold, dark, and full of things that shouldn't be alive. You're submerged. Not just once. But again. And again. Until your lungs burn and your eyes sting. This punishment is meant for the shameful, gossips, cheaters, petty thieves. It's public humiliation disguised as justice. And while the crowd laughs, you're choking on mud and sewage. You're lucky to be pulled out before you pass out completely. But you're not lucky enough to be left alone. The guards drag you away, teeth chattering, lips blue, and toss you into a makeshift cell. Just 4 walls of stone and a door made of iron bars. No mattress. No warmth. Just rats and damp. They call this a holding cell. But it holds more than prisoners. It holds diseases. Cries. Sometimes corpses. You huddle in the corner. Hours pass. Maybe days. It's impossible to tell. There's no sun, no sound except the distant drip of water and the occasional scream from another room. And then, the door creaks open. It's time for your confession. A friar stands above you, wrapped in robes that smell like incense and mildew. His words are calm. Too calm. He asks if you're guilty, if you're willing to confess. You hesitate. And that's all it takes. You're pulled out again. Dragged through the corridors. Into a chamber lit by torchlight. Your shadow dances on the stone wall. You're not alone. In the center of the room is the rack. The name doesn't lie. It racks your body. Literally. You're tied at the wrists and ankles. Then the twisting begins. Slowly, deliberately, the wooden rollers stretch you. Inch by inch. Tendons tear. Muscles scream. Your joints begin to dislocate, one after another. Your bones threaten to snap. You scream, but they keep going. They don't want your death. Not yet. They want your confession. Real or not. Truth doesn't matter. Only obedience does. So eventually your mouth opens. You say whatever they want to hear. That you stole. That you sinned. That you'd do anything just to make the pain stop. They finally release you. But you're not the same. Your arms hang at unnatural angles. You can't walk without help. Every breath feels like it could be your last. And outside? No one cares. To the villagers, justice has been served. You confessed. That means guilt. And guilt means punishment. Simple math in a cruel system. You're not dead, but you wish you were. And unfortunately, the punishments don't stop just because you've had your turn. Now you're watching someone else. A man this time. Caught hunting a deer on noble land. A desperate act in a starving village. He's tied to a post. But this isn't the whipping post. This one has a different purpose. 2 red-hot irons lie in the fire. They brand him. Not once. Twice. One on each cheek. Letters carved into his flesh with searing metal. T for thief. P for poacher. The skin bubbles. Smoke rises. The smell is unforgettable. He screams until his voice goes hoarse. Then he collapses. But now, everyone knows what he is. There's no hiding. No second chance. For the rest of his short life, he'll be marked. A walking warning. Branded like cattle. Meanwhile, you're still recovering. If you can call it that. Your arms barely move. Infection spreads in your joints. There's no such thing as antibiotics. No nurse coming with a warm blanket and a pill. Just herbs. Maybe leeches. And a prayer. You're barely useful now. And in medieval society, being useless is dangerous. Because that's how you end up labeled a vagrant. And vagrancy? That's its own kind of crime. They come for you at dawn. The guards. They don't need a reason. The church gave them power. You're dragged into the town square again. Your hands are tied. A board is nailed around your neck. It's called a signboard. It reads, beggar, thief, liar. It's heavy. It digs into your collarbone. You're marched in a circle, forced to chant your crimes out loud. Your voice breaks halfway through, but they hit you and tell you to keep going. The town looks on. Some pity you. Most don't. Because deep down, they're glad it's you and not them. That's how the system works. Keep everyone afraid. Keep them quiet. And then, something worse happens. You hear the word, traitor. A woman is pulled from a cart. She's accused of plotting against the crown. She's wearing chains so heavy she can't stand. But there's no trial for treason. Just punishment. She's dragged to a scaffold in the middle of the square. The wood creaks beneath her weight. There's no ceremony. No last words. Just a rope. But this isn't a simple hanging. The executioner climbs behind her. He uses a short drop. Not enough to snap the neck. Just enough to strangle. Slowly. Horribly. She kicks. She convulses. She gasps like a fish pulled from water. It takes nearly 10 minutes for her to stop moving. You watch every second. And for the first time, you realize something awful. This isn't just fear anymore. It's routine. You don't sleep anymore. Not really. Just drift in and out, afraid to close your eyes too long. The sounds of groaning, coughing, and muttering never stop. Not inside the hovel. Not outside it either. Your joints still ache from the rack. Your arms never healed right. They hang limp at your sides, mostly useless. But you're still breathing, and apparently, that's enough to be put to work again. The Lord's men need bodies for road repair. Not workers' bodies. warm enough to swing a pickaxe, move some dirt, maybe die before sundown. You qualify. They don't ask. They take you. The work site is a mess of broken stones and shallow graves. Most of the other workers are either sick or barely clinging on. But if you don't move fast enough, a whip across your back reminds you. A scar on top of a scar. The overseer doesn't bother learning names. He calls you Rat. Calls everyone that. You hear another man cough behind you. A wet, rattling sound that makes your skin crawl. The others back away from him like he's a cursed relic. Then he collapses. No one helps. The overseer waves 2 boys over. They drag his body to the side and throw a bit of dirt on top. That's it. The hole isn't deep. You step over it the next time you pass by. No prayers. No burial. No name. The rumors spread before the sun sets. People whisper that the plague might be back. No one says it too loudly. Saying the word out loud feels like an invitation. But that's not the worst thing you'll see that day. Around midday, the guards bring in a man accused of cheating the weights at the village market. A baker, maybe? Or a butcher. Doesn't matter now. He's sentenced to the pillory. It's a wooden frame, set high on a platform, with holes for the head and hands. They lock him in. And leave him. The punishment sounds simple, almost soft compared to the rack or branding. But then you see what happens next. The villagers gather. They bring rotten vegetables, stones, even animal dung. It's not official. No one orders it. But it's expected. They scream at him. Spit. Throw whatever they can. He flinches, but he can't move. The sun beats down. Flies swarm. His legs give out, but the pillory doesn't care. He dangles there like a broken puppet, bruised and bleeding. By nightfall, he's unconscious. Maybe dead. No one checks. They just walk away. You try to look away, but your eyes keep drifting back. You wonder how much of this you can take. How anyone did. A day later, it's Sunday. You're marched to the church like everyone else. Skipping it isn't an option. Faith isn't just personal. It's law. The priest stands in front of the altar. He talks about sin. About wrath. About how the punishments of man are nothing compared to the wrath of God. You believe him. Because you've seen what man can do. But the church isn't just a sanctuary. It's a courtroom too. That afternoon, you witness another sentence. A young girl. Maybe 12. She's accused of stealing a loaf of bread. Her family says she didn't. But they're poor, and no one listens to the poor. Her punishment? The scold's bridle. They bring out the iron cage. It looks like something from a nightmare. A metal mask, shaped to cover the head, with a sharp bit of iron that presses into the tongue to stop the wearer from speaking. She cries when they force it on her. Her mother screams. Her father begs. The guards shove them away. The girl stumbles down the street, the heavy mask rattling with each step. Children watch in silence. Even they don't laugh. That's the thing about medieval punishments. They're not just meant to hurt. They're meant to haunt. To mark you. Silence you. Break you. Later that week, you see a cart rolling through the village. It's different this time. No prisoners. Just a large cage, filled with something writhing. It takes a moment before you realize, their heads. Decaying. Some with open eyes. Others missing pieces. Hung from hooks inside the cage. A sign above them reads, "Treason has many faces." It's not about justice. It's about warning. These men died somewhere else, for something you'll never learn. But their remains are here now. Rotting in the sun. A message to everyone who passes by. That evening, you're called to help with cleaning the stocks. It's not a job. It's another punishment. For loitering, they said. The stocks are covered in old blood. Pieces of dried skin. Sometimes bits of teeth. You try not to look too closely. But you find something you didn't expect. A hand? Not attached to anyone. Just a hand. Rotted, curled, like it's still trying to grasp something. You drop it. You don't scream. You just keep scrubbing. The next morning, you find out someone in the village was caught worshipping the wrong way. Maybe too many candles. Maybe they prayed to a saint the bishop didn't like. That's enough. They're tied to a ladder, hoisted upright. And then they bring out the flails. 3 of them. Braided leather. Embedded with bone and glass. The punishment is simple. 30 lashes. No more. No less. By the 10th, the skin splits. By 20, they're sobbing. At 30, they're silent. Not dead. Just somewhere else. A place in their mind where pain doesn't reach. And you? You're still standing there. Watching. Learning what happens when you ask too many questions. You try not to speak much after that. But even silence isn't safe. Because a rumor started. Someone said you gave a wrong look to the Reeves' wife. That you muttered something under your breath when the priest walked by. No one confronts you. They just start whispering. And that's how it begins. Not with chains or fire. But with glances. You feel it every time someone avoids your eye. Every time they cross the street to avoid your shadow. You're becoming marked. Not by iron or law. But by fear. And you know what comes next. It starts with a knock. Not a polite one. A pounding. The kind that rattles your bones before you even reach the door. You know who it is before you open it. Doesn't matter, really. You don't get to say no. 2 men in dull armor. Faces like stone. They don't speak. One grabs your arm. The other ties your wrists. You try to ask what you've done, but the rope is already burning your skin. They don't answer. The town square is waiting. You're dragged through the mud, past people you used to eat beside, laugh with, share bread with. They look through you now. Not at you. Some won't even meet your eyes. The stalks are ready. Wood darkened by years of sweat, spit, and blood. They push you down, hard. You hear the lock snap shut behind your neck. Cold air bites at your back. The smell hits next, old vomit, rot, fear. No one tells you why you're here. But you know. It doesn't matter what's true. It only matters what people believe. And right now, someone's decided you need to be taught a lesson. First, the children come. Small feet, big voices. They throw pebbles. Then clumps of dirt. One hits your temple. Laughter erupts. Then the grown-ups join in. Someone spits. Another throws a half-eaten apple that smacks your shoulder and slides down your chest. A woman with a kind face glares at you like she's never seen you before. The priest walks by. Doesn't stop. Doesn't speak. Just turns his head slightly. Like you're too filthy to look at. You lose track of time. Your knees ache. Your back stiffens. Your neck cramps. The sun burns your skin. But the worst part is the silence in your head. That moment when your mind starts to wonder if maybe you do deserve this. At dusk, they open the lock. But no one helps you up. You fall sideways into the dirt, too weak to catch yourself. You're allowed to crawl home. But your home doesn't want you anymore. The door is barred. No voices answer when you knock. You sit outside that night, under a sky that doesn't care whether you live or die. By morning, the guards find you again. This time, it's official. Blasphemy, they say. Disrespect to the church. Spreading unrest. Maybe witchcraft. The charges don't matter. They never do. They escort you to the chapel. But not for prayer. You're led to the crypt beneath it. A space damp with age and judgment. The bishop is waiting. He looks bored. Trial by ordeal, someone announces. The crowd nods. No one flinches. It's not really a trial. It's a test. And everyone knows what happens if you fail. Or if you pass. There are many versions. Today, they choose the cauldron. They bring it out. A pot of boiling water, hissing over a fire. You can hear the bubbles, the steam, the hiss of pain before it begins. A small rock is placed at the bottom. Your task? Retrieve it with your bare hand. You stare into the water. It doesn't look like justice. It looks like cruelty dressed up as religion. But you reach in. Skin blisters immediately. You bite your tongue hard, so they don't hear you scream. The rock is slick. It slips from your fingers once, twice, before you finally clutch it. They yank your arm out. The skin is red, raw, cooked. The bishop nods. Now they bandage your hand. You think maybe they're helping. They aren't. You'll return in 3 days. If your hand is healing, you're innocent. If not, guilty. But you've seen wounds in this place. You know what infection looks like. You know what fever smells like. In 3 days, you'll be dead or damned. The fever hits on the second night. You shiver. Sweat pours from your body like rain. You see shapes in the dark that don't belong. Your hand feels like it's filled with hot coals. You bite the inside of your cheek to stay conscious. On the third day, they peel back the cloth. The bishop doesn't even blink. Infected, he says. Guilty. You're sentenced on the spot. This time, it's public again. They want everyone to see. Justice has to be loud. They bring out the cucking stool. It looks simple. Just a wooden chair, tied to a long beam. But it's not for sitting. It's for humiliation. They tie you down. Tight. Then 2 men carry the stool to the riverbank. The water is cold, filthy, crawling with disease. And then they dunk you. Once. Twice. Again. Each time your head is dragged under, you choke on the filth. Your ears ring. The rope cuts your skin. The crowd jeers with every splash. They aren't trying to kill you. Not officially. But they don't care if you drown. When it's over, you're dumped into the mud like trash. You lie there, coughing, shaking, barely alive. And you wonder what's left of you. Your body's broken. Your name's a curse. Your soul feels hollowed out. And yet, it isn't over. Because you hear the word whispered near your ear. Stocks. Again. They say it like it's merciful. And somehow you believe them. This time, the stocks feel almost familiar. Like a twisted old friend you didn't ask to see again. Your skin is still damp from the river. Your burned hand throbs beneath the crusted bandage. Every muscle aches. But there's no hesitation. You kneel. You bow. You let them lock you in. Because at least this is predictable. The wood creaks around your neck. The same grain, the same splinters. You know the rhythm now. You know how long the sun takes to move across the sky. You know which boy throws the hardest rocks and which dog always stops to sniff your feet. You're not even the main attraction anymore. That title belongs to the man next to you. His name doesn't matter. What matters is what he did, or what they said he did. He insulted the Lord's steward. Called him a fool. In a tavern. After too much ale. Now his tongue is nailed to a post. That's not a metaphor. An actual nail. Through his tongue. Into the wood. He can't speak, can't swallow, can't even scream. Just makes this horrible gurgling sound every time he tries to move. No one helps. They just watch. The punishment is simple. Leave him there till sundown. If he tears his tongue out to escape, that's his sin. If he bleeds to death, that's God's will. You try not to look at him. But it's hard not to. Because he keeps looking at you. Eyes wide. Full of a pain so raw it cuts right through your skin. There's no hatred in it. Just a question. Why? And you don't have an answer. By evening, the blood on his chest is black. His head slumps. Someone finally pulls the nail out. You both fall to the ground. They take him away. You stay behind. Somewhere in the back of your mind, you start to understand what the punishments are really for. It's not just about pain, or crime, or God. It's about memory. They want you to remember. Always. In your bones, your dreams, your breath. You sleep in the corner of a stable that night. No one invites you in. But the horses don't seem to mind. Your body's a map of wounds now. Rope burns. Blisters. A hand that won't move. A spine that creaks with every breath. But you wake up the next morning. And that, somehow, feels like an achievement. You limp to the well to drink. That's when you see the crowd gathering again. This time, it's the gallows. A large wooden frame. Ropes swinging like lazy snakes in the breeze. 3 nooses. 3 people standing on the platform, wrists tied, faces covered in sacks. Their crimes aren't announced. Everyone just seems to know. Or pretend to. The hangman steps forward. A thick man with bored eyes. He pulls the lever. 2 of the bodies drop. But the third? The rope snaps. A wet crack as the man hits the ground. Not dead. Just broken. He groans. His legs twisted wrong. His arms limp. People murmur. The hangman shrugs and hauls him back up the steps. A second rope. A second try. This time it works. The crowd cheers. You don't. You throw up in the grass behind a wagon and cry without sound. The next day, you try to leave the village. You don't get far. A guard stops you on the road. Asks if you have permission. You don't. He laughs and sends you back. Tells you if you try again, you'll be branded. You believe him. That night, as you sit beneath the chapel wall, trying to warm your hands, you hear something strange. Singing. Soft. Gentle. Familiar. You follow the sound. It leads you to the square. A group of people, standing in a circle. Holding candles. Worshipping. Not loudly. Not with drums or shouts. Just voices in harmony. Quiet praise. But it's not the church's hymn. And that's the problem. You back away slowly. You don't want to be seen. Because you've seen what happens next. Sure enough, the next morning, the bishop declares them heretics. 6 of them. 3 women. 3 men. No trial. No apology. The execution is set for dusk. You don't want to watch. You try to hide. But the guards find you. Pull you to the square. Because everyone must witness the flames. The stake is already set. Bundles of dry wood stacked high around the legs. The accused are tied to it, side by side. No gags. Their mouths are still free. And they keep singing. Even as the torch is lit. Even as the fire catches. Even as the smoke rises and the screams begin. They keep singing. Until they can't. You stand there long after the crowd has gone. Your face wet with tears and ash. You've forgotten what justice is supposed to mean. Because here, in this place, justice just means punishment with a robe on. You stagger back to your stable. Try to sleep. Try to forget. But that night, your dreams are full of fire and nails and wooden beams that never stop creaking. And somewhere, deep in the dark, a part of you starts to break. Not your bones. Not your skin. Your hope. You wake to the sound of screaming. Not far. Just down the lane. You think it's another execution. Maybe a thief getting whipped. Or a drunk in the stocks. But then you see the torchlight through the fog. Not organized. Not official. Torches held by townspeople. Moving fast. You follow, because that's what people do now. You don't ask why. You don't need to. You already feel it in your bones. A woman's tied to a post. Not in the square. Not near the church. But in the woods, just past the boundary of the village. That tells you everything. This isn't justice. This is fear. They call her a witch. No proof. No trial. Just whispers and sickness and missing sheep. That's all it takes. Her face is covered in bruises. Her dress torn. There's a red mark across her forehead where someone struck her with a cross. They chant as they circle her. Not hymns. Just hatred. You don't know her. But you recognize the look in her eyes. That wild, broken stare of someone who knows it's over. They don't burn her. They drown her. It's quicker. They drag her to the river and tie a rock to her waist. If she floats, she's a witch. If she sinks, she's innocent. She sinks. The current swallows her, slow and silent. A child throws a stone into the water, just to watch the ripples. No one says a word. You back away. Slowly. You've learned how to disappear. That night you don't sleep. You stare at your hand, the one they boiled. It's still scarred. Stiff. You wonder if it'll ever move right again. Then you hear boots outside. Not many. Just 2 sets. You press yourself into the corner, heart pounding. The door creaks open. It's a man you haven't seen before. Wearing church robes. Younger than most. Eyes dark and sharp. He doesn't smile. Says he's here to ask questions. He sits on a crate. Folds his hands. Asks if you've seen anything suspicious. You want to lie. But you're too tired. You say you don't know. He nods. Then he pulls a roll of parchment from his robe. Unrolls it slowly. Names. Dozens of them. He points to one. Then looks at you. Did she ever speak to you? It's the woman from the river. You shake your head. He watches you for a long moment, like he's weighing your soul. Then he stands. Says nothing more. Leaves. You sit in the silence. Trying to breathe. Trying to think. Because now your name might be next. In the morning, they gather the men for labor. You're shoved into a cart and taken to the quarry. Stones need hauling. And no one volunteers. You work until your back screams. Until your knees go numb. Until the sweat in your eyes turns to salt and stings like fire. There's no food. Just a bucket of water passed around. Warm. Tainted with something metallic. The overseer carries a whip. Wears it like a necklace. Doesn't even have to use it. Just lets it hang from his hand. And that's enough. By dusk, 2 men have collapsed. One is dragged away by his feet. You don't ask where. The other is kicked until he moves again. You try not to fall. Your hands are blistered. The sun has burned your face. And your mouth feels like it's full of sand. But you survive. Barely. They return you after dark. Your legs tremble. Every step feels like lifting a cartwheel with your toes. You collapse inside the stable. Close your eyes. Just for a moment. Then you hear it. The drum. Slow. Dull. Echoing across the village. The punishment drum. Someone's being marched through the streets. You crawl to the door. Pull yourself up enough to see through a crack in the boards. It's a boy. Couldn't be more than 13. Hands bound. Face swollen. Eyes wide with fear. You hear someone whisper. He stole bread. Bread. They're taking him to the pillory. Worse than the stocks. Arms raised above your head. Neck locked in place. The pain sets in fast. The boy's crying. But no one listens. They lock him in. A crowd gathers. The guards leave. And that's when it starts. The taunts. The garbage. The spitting. But then someone throws a stone. A big one. It hits the boy in the eye. He screams. Another hits his shoulder. His head snaps back. He slumps. You see the blood trickle down his face. No one stops. This isn't punishment anymore. It's sport. You can't look away. Because this is how it works here. The crime barely matters. The sentence is the spectacle. You crawl back to your corner. Press your head to your knees. You don't cry. Not anymore. Your body's forgotten how. You just breathe. And wonder when it'll be your turn again. Because in this world, survival isn't about staying strong. It's about not being seen. And even that doesn't always work. The rain comes just after midnight. Not a soft drizzle. A punishing, freezing downpour that turns the dirt to sludge and the village paths into rivers. You wake up coughing, water dripping from the roof straight onto your chest. The stable reeks worse than usual. Something in the straw has started to rot. You try to stay dry, pressing yourself against the wall. But the wind finds every crack. You shiver until your bones feel hollow. Outside, the bell tolls. Slowly. Once. Then again. You know that sound. It means someone's died. No one mourns aloud anymore. People have learned not to. Grief is private, silent, and dangerous, because even sadness can be suspicious. You crawl out just as the sun begins to rise, red and low like a warning in the sky. You follow the trail of smoke toward the chapel square. There, laid on a cart, is the body, wrapped in a thin cloth. No name spoken. No priest. Just the bell, still echoing. The cloth soaked through. You can see the shape of the limbs underneath. Bent wrong. Like they tried to escape something before they died. No one steps forward to claim them. You don't either. Because you've learned, getting involved can make you a suspect. Instead, you head toward the bakery. Not for food. You gave up that hope days ago. But for warmth. The oven room vents heat through a cracked brick in the back wall. If you stand close enough, your fingers stop hurting for a few minutes. But the baker's wife sees you. She shouts, waving a broom. Says you're cursing the dough. That your presence will ruin the bread. You run before she can call the guards. Back to your corner. Back to the damp. By now, the infection in your hand is spreading. The skin is red tight. You can barely bend your fingers. It smells wrong. Like meat left in the sun. You wrap it in the only clean cloth you have. A strip of your own shirt. That night, a merchant arrives in the village. His cart is full of trinkets and colored glass, but no one cares. What they do care about is the cage strapped to the back. Inside is a man. Naked. Filthy. Covered in sores. The merchant says he's a liar. A professional deceiver. He charges people to ask the man questions, just to hear him try to talk his way out of his fate. They call it entertainment. You watch from the edge of the crowd. The man inside the cage tries to explain, but no one listens. His voice is hoarse. His eyes dart from face to face, looking for someone, anyone, to help. No one does. The merchant pokes him with a stick whenever he hesitates. The questions get more cruel, more personal. Eventually, the man goes quiet. They leave him there overnight. In the morning, he's dead. The merchant shrugs and dumps his body behind the stables. No one buries him. The ground's too hard anyway. Your stomach twists again. Not from hunger. Hunger's become a dull echo by now. It's from sickness. You're sure of it. Your fever comes in waves. Sometimes you sweat so much you soak through your clothes. Other times you shake until your teeth clatter like dice in a gambler's cup. You ask for help once. A healer. A midwife. Anyone. They look at your hand and step back. One whispers the word cursed. They won't touch you. Now, even the stable won't have you. The boy who feeds the horses says you bring death. That since you arrived, the rats have doubled and 3 calves were stillborn. You sleep in the fields now. Under open sky. No roof. No fire. You're not the only one. Others are out here too. Castaways. The unwanted. The too old, too weak, too sick. They don't talk. They just breathe beside you in the dark. Until one doesn't. She's maybe 20. Could have been pretty once. Her hands are small, fingers curled tight like she died clutching something invisible. No one moves her body. By now, even grief feels like a luxury. You try to stand, but your knees buckle. You stay on the ground. You count your breaths to stay sane. Somewhere far off, the bell rings again. Another punishment. Another name erased from the world. You want to run. Not from the village. From time itself. From the stench of rot and fear and smoke that coats everything like a second skin. But you can't. Because you're part of it now. A ghost still breathing. You hear someone being dragged through the mud. A voice, hoarse and broken, calling for mercy. Then the crack of a whip. And then silence. You close your eyes. And pray the morning never comes. You wake up with your face pressed against the dirt. It rained again last night. You must have slept through the storm, though the cold in your spine says otherwise. Your body aches like it's forgotten how to rest. You sit up slowly, every joint stiff, every muscle screaming. Your fever's worse. You're shaking and sweating at the same time. The girl next to you is gone. She was still alive when you closed your eyes. But now there's just a shallow shape in the grass where her body used to be. Someone must have dragged her off before the sun rose. Or maybe the dogs found her first. Either way, you don't ask. You don't look. You make your way to the edge of the village, hoping for a crust of bread or even the water they throw at the pigs. Your fingers are so swollen you can't clench them. Your skin's starting to crack. The wound on your hand smells worse now, like copper and decay mixed together. At the well, there's a crowd. Someone's kneeling in the mud. A man. Pale, terrified, trembling. The bailiff stands over him, reading something from a scroll. A list of charges. You hear the words blasphemy and sedition. You don't know what he did. Maybe he said the wrong thing. Maybe he prayed in silence when everyone else prayed aloud. Doesn't matter. They've already decided he's guilty. A hooded figure steps forward. Carries a long staff with a sharp iron blade on one end. The crowd quiets. Not out of respect, out of anticipation. It's time for the branding. They don't kill him. Not yet. They burn a mark into his chest. He screams so loudly it rattles your ribs. The smell of burnt flesh is thick, heavy. You gag. Others cheer. Some even laugh. You see a child watching with wide eyes, grinning like it's a puppet show. When it's over, the man collapses. They leave him in the mud. His shirt sticks to the wound, and the blood begins to soak through. You move on. You can't help him. You can't help anyone. Later, near the church, you see a boy being dragged by two guards. His face is bruised, one eye nearly swollen shut. A priest walks behind them, holding a rope. They tie him to the lich gate. That's where they punish those who break curfew. The boy's maybe 10. His crime? Stealing a candle from the chapel. They lash his back. 7 times. The priest recites verses after each strike. Not to bless him. Just to remind everyone watching that this is holy pain. That suffering here means mercy in the afterlife. The boy doesn't scream after the 3rd hit. Just goes limp. They leave him there. Blood dripping onto the stone beneath his feet. You wonder how many more lashes it would have taken to kill him. 5? 10? You sit near the edge of the square, head pounding, vision blurry. A dog limps past you, carrying what looks like a human hand in its mouth. You close your eyes. Everything hurts. Your breath feels thick, like you're inhaling smoke. You hear people talking around you, but the words don't make sense anymore. Someone touches your shoulder. You flinch, but it's just an old woman. Eyes cloudy, lips chapped, hands shaking worse than yours. She doesn't speak, just drops a small piece of bread beside you and walks away. You cry for the first time in days. Not because of the kindness. Because now you know how hungry you really are. You eat it slow. So slow your jaw cramps. It tastes like heaven. Then the horn blows. Sharp. Sudden. Final. You've only heard it twice before. Once when the plague came. And once when the executioner arrived. This time, it's both. The Black Death has returned. They call it God's wrath. A punishment for sin. And everyone starts pointing fingers. At strangers. At widows. At beggars like you. You hear them muttering the word cleansing. You don't have time to hide. By nightfall, the guards have set up torches at the village gates. They're not letting anyone leave. Not unless you have a seal from the priest or a purse full of silver. You have hither. You're trapped. The bailiff makes an announcement in the square. All suspected carriers must report to the cloister. You don't move. But someone points at you. Calls you cursed. Says you've been rotting since the day you arrived. 2 guards grab you. You try to fight. But your legs give out. Your voice barely escapes your throat. They drag you through the mud, your face scraping against the cobbles. When you reach the cloister, they throw you into a wooden pen. Inside, there are others. Faces you recognize. Faces you don't. One man is missing half his nose. Another is coughing so hard he spits blood with every breath. No one speaks. No one has the strength. You press yourself into the corner and shiver. The priest walks by. Doesn't even look at you. They're not here to heal. They're here to contain. There's no doctor. No salves. No prayers. Only waiting. And silence. You try to sleep, but the screams keep waking you. People being dragged out. Or worse, left behind to die alone. You beg for water. No one comes. You pass out. Maybe for hours. Maybe for days. When you wake, the pen is quieter. Fewer bodies. Some have stopped moving entirely. You look at your hand. The skin is black now. Splitting open. Pus oozing from the edges. Your arm feels numb. You're not sure if it's still part of you. A guard peeks in. Counts heads. Shouts that a cart is coming. They're going to move the bodies. You lie back down. Try to breathe without coughing. Try not to think about how your name is already being forgotten. Try not to think about how none of this was because of something you did. Just who you were. Where you were born. And the time you woke up in. Because here, in the Middle Ages, punishment isn't always for the guilty. Sometimes, it's just for the convenient. You don't remember falling asleep. When your eyes open, it's night again. Or maybe still night. Time doesn't work the way it used to. The sky above is dark, but there's a glow at the edge of the village, orange and flickering. It's fire. Something's burning. The smell hits you before the sound does. Thick smoke. Oil. Then wood cracking. Then the screaming. Someone's torching the cloister. They've sealed the gates from the outside. You scramble up, dizzy and weak, pressing yourself against the wooden slats. Others do the same, banging fists against the barrier, begging to be let out. No one answers. The guards are gone. Everyone who could flee already did. You realize they weren't coming to help. They weren't bringing medicine. They were just stalling. Waiting for the right moment to cleanse the village. By fire. You don't scream. What's the point? You try to think fast. There's a crack in the wall where the boards don't meet. Just wide enough for your arm. Maybe your shoulder. You wedge your fingers through. Push. Pull. The wood groans. A man next to you sees what you're doing. He joins in. Then another. The smell of fire is stronger now. Hotter. Smoke fills your nose, your lungs. Every breath burns. You keep pushing. The boards snap. You fall through the gap and tumble into the mud. You don't stop. You run. Limping. Coughing. Gasping. The others spill out behind you, coughing, staggering, disappearing into the smoke. You don't turn around. You don't look at the building as it collapses. The sound of the roof giving way is like thunder. You make it to the river and drop to your knees. The cold water stings, but you drink anyway. Drink until your stomach feels like it'll burst. Then you wash your face, your arms, your wounds. The infection is worse. Your fingers are almost purple now. Skin peeling like old bark. You keep splashing water, trying to scrub it away like it's dirt. But it's not. It's inside you. A reminder that punishment in this world isn't always dealt by men. Sometimes your own body turns on you. You stay by the river until the smoke thins. Until your breath stops rattling. Then you start walking. You don't know where you're going. Away. That's enough. The path leads into the woods. Trees blot out the stars. The ground is slick. Roots twist under your feet. Owls screech from the branches like ghosts, mocking your escape. You walk until your legs shake too much to hold you up. Then you crawl. Until you find a clearing. A small hut. More a shack, really. Leaning sideways, covered in moss. The kind of place hunters abandon when the forest gets too dangerous. You collapse inside. There's no bed. Just dirt and broken straw. You curl into yourself, holding your hand to your chest, praying it doesn't fall off in the night. You dream of flames. Of people screaming your name. Of being judged, not for what you've done, but for the sickness in your blood. You wake with a start. There's someone in the doorway. A woman. Older. Eyes sharp. Robes dark and ragged. She doesn't speak. Just stares at you. You try to sit up, mumble something about being sick, about needing help. She walks toward you. Not scared. Not angry. Just curious. Then she kneels. Reaches into a pouch. Pulls out herbs. Some cloth. A small blade. She's not a healer. Not officially. But she knows how to cut the rot away. She points to your hand. You nod. Then bite down on a piece of wood. She cuts. It's worse than fire. Worse than the lash. Worse than anything you felt. But you don't scream. Because deep down, you know this is your only chance. When it's done, you pass out. When you wake, your hand is wrapped in tight bandages. You can't feel your fingers, but you can feel something else. Air. Cool and clean. The woman sits by the door, sharpening her blade. She tells you in a voice like stone that she's a widow. Her husband died fighting in some noble's war. She's been alone ever since. The village calls her a witch. You believe them. But in that moment you don't care. She saved you. Over the next few days she feeds you broth. Thick, bitter teas. Forces you to stay awake even when your body begs to sleep. She says sleep means death, and she's seen too much death to waste more on laziness. You listen. Slowly your fever fades. The pain stays, but it dulls. You start to move again. One morning she brings you outside. Tells you to walk. You stumble at first. Your legs are weak, your balance worse. But the sun is shining. For the first time in what feels like years. You breathe it in. You almost smile. That night she teaches you how to grind roots. How to mash leaves into salve. Says knowledge is survival, and survival is revenge. You memorize everything. Days pass. Then one morning, she doesn't come out of her room. You knock. No answer. You find her lying on her mat. Still. Cold. Gone. You bury her in the forest. Say no words. Because no words ever seem enough. You stay in the hut. Keep the fire going. Keep boiling roots. Keep moving. But deep down, you know you can't hide forever. Punishment doesn't forget. It waits. And it finds you. A week later it does. You hear the hooves before you see them. Men on horses. Armor blackened. Swords at their sides. Inquisition. They're looking for her. The witch. They say she poisoned the village. That her spells brought the sickness. They see you. You try to run. But they catch you. Drag you by your collar. They see the bandage. They laugh. Say you've been tainted. They don't kill you. They want a confession first. They tie you to a tree. Strip you to your waist. The wind stings like a whip. They bring out the thumbscrews. Clamp them around your hand. The bad one. You beg. Not for mercy. For truth. You tell them she saved you. Not cursed you. They don't listen. They tighten the screws. The pain is blinding. Your bones feel like glass. Like they're shattering one grain at a time. You scream. They smile. Say the devil's coming out now. When they're done, your hand is ruined. Twisted. Broken. Useless. They drag you back to the village. Not to punish you. To make an example. They put you in the stocks. Naked to the waist. Rain starts falling. Mud pools around your feet. Children throw rocks. Adults spit. You sit there for hours. Then days. Every joint swells. Your skin blisters. You lose time. When they finally let you out, your body is nearly frozen. They tell you to run. So you do. You run into the woods. Into the dark. You don't know how you're still alive. But you are. Barely. Because that's what survival means here. Not thriving. Not healing. Just not dead yet. And in the medieval world, that's as good as it gets. You're nothing but a shadow now. A creature that lives in the cracks of the world. Half-starved. Filthy. One hand twisted and useless, the other barely strong enough to carry the stick you lean on. Every day, you move a little farther from people. From towns. From roads. Because punishment in this age doesn't always come with a sentence, or a courtroom. Sometimes it's just a judgment in someone's eyes. Sometimes it's a rope tied in a loop and a crowd that doesn't ask questions. You eat what you can. Mushrooms. Roots. Sometimes insects. Once, a dead bird that had been lying in the snow. You try not to remember the taste. Your reflection in the river looks like a ghost. Sunken cheeks. Pale eyes. Your teeth are going yellow, some black at the edges. Your ribs are visible. Your skin's covered in small cuts and scabs that never seem to heal. You stopped being scared of wolves a long time ago. They watch you from the tree leans sometimes. You stare back. The understanding is mutual. You're not much meat anyway. Winter creeps in again. And it's not just cold this time. It's brutal. There are no leaves. No moss. The streams freeze. Your joints ache with a sharpness that goes deeper than pain. Like your bones are turning to ice from the inside. And then one night, you hear voices again. Not real ones. Not human. Just whispers. Some in your own voice. Some not. They tell you to lie down. To sleep. That no one's coming for you. That no one ever was. You almost believe them. But morning comes. And with it, something strange. Smoke. You blink through the trees and see it rising from the hills. Not the thick, choking kind from burning wood. But the clean kind. Hearth smoke. Someone's home. You wait until night. Then you crawl toward it. A farmhouse. Or maybe a mill. You can't tell. You're too weak. Too numb. The light flickers from inside. Warm. Alive. You reach the door. Collapse against it. Your hand, the one that still works, scratches the wood. No one answers. Then the door creaks open. A woman looks down. Her face softens. You don't have words left. You just fall. When you wake up, you're wrapped in wool. Not fancy, not rich. But clean. The fire is warm. The smell of broth clings to the air. You're on a blanket. A dog sleeps near your feet. The woman sits nearby. Sewing. Watching. She doesn't ask who you are. She doesn't care. She just nods. You nod back. She feeds you in small spoonfuls. Your stomach protests. You keep it down. Day by day, your strength crawls back. Not fully. Not fast. But just enough. She shows you how to spin flax. It hurts your hands, but you do it. She teaches you to patch holes in wool. Chase off rats. Dig a furrow in the garden. You don't speak much. Neither does she. But you listen. And slowly, you begin to believe in silence again. You sleep without fear for the first time in months. You wake without dread. Until the sheriff comes. He rides in with 2 men and a scroll. New laws. New taxes. New demands. No exceptions. She has no coin. So they search her house. They find you. They ask for your name. You don't give it. They ask again. You tell them you're just a helper. They don't believe you. They see your hand. They see your face. One of them squints. Says he remembers you. Says you're the one who fled justice. The witch's companion. A condemned soul. You say nothing. Because nothing would change their minds. They take you again. This time, there's no trial. No stocks. Just a rope. The town gathers. Even the children. Because hangings are entertainment. A break from the famine. A show for the weary. The gallows creaks in the wind. The priest doesn't bless you. The guards don't look at you. They just fasten the noose. Your heart doesn't race. It's just tired. Too tired to be afraid. They ask if you have any last words. You look past them. to the faces watching. Some curious. Some hungry. Some bored. None of them see a person. They just see punishment. You take a breath. Not for a speech. Just because it might be your last. Then the platform drops. But the rope snaps. Old wood. Bad knot. Doesn't matter. You hit the ground like a sack of stone. Your shoulder shatters on impact. But you're alive. Someone screams. The crowd erupts. A woman grabs you and pulls you from the chaos. It's the farmer. The one who took you in. She's yelling something. That it's a sign. A miracle. That God spared you. People hesitate. Fear mixes with faith. And in that split second of confusion, she pushes you toward the edge of the crowd. You run. Your shoulder broken. Your hand ruined. Your breath coming in sobs. But you run. Again. Because in this world, there are only two kinds of people. Those who hand out punishments. And those who survive them. Somehow you've done both. You disappear into the woods again. But something's different. You're not just running anymore. You're remembering. Everything they did. Everything they allowed. The pain. The fire. The cage. The stalks. The blood. It doesn't crush you this time. It hardens. Because even though your body is failing, something inside you isn't. You start to whisper stories to yourself. The kind no one writes down. The truth buried under centuries of filth and lies. And maybe, just maybe, someone will hear them. Maybe someday, they'll believe you. But not today. Today, you're just a shadow again. Moving through trees. One breath at a time. And in the distance, a bell tolls. Another morning. Another punishment waiting. Another chance to survive. If you're lucky. And strong. And silent. But probably not. Because in medieval times, no one survives forever. Not without paying. And you? You've already paid more than most. But the debt never ends. It just waits. Like the cold. Like the dark. Like the rope swinging gently in the wind.